Hola and welcome to Charlando, a Chicago Latino Theater Alliance initiative where we talk to Latino theater artists about topics regarding the theater industry from our very own perspectives. I'm your host, Myrna Salazar, founder and executive director of the Chicago Latino Theater Alliance that produces Destinos, the Chicago International Latino Theater Festival. Is one of our program within Destinos, within the CLATA. And in my best lifetime, I own the first ever Latina-owned talent agency in the nation here in Chicago. And because that, I've seen a lot of talent come and go, and from LA to New York to other parts of the country. And today, I am so excited and very proud to introduce our guest today, a Chicago-born and raised wonderful actress who got her start here in Chicago stages and have since then catapulted, grown to stardom. Justina Machado, bienvenida to Charlando.
Gracias. Happy to be here.
So, first, this is going to be very informal, Justina, and knowing you, I love to see your laughter all the time. So, and taking pride to make sure that this is the first interview that I make because I've left my team to do this type of giving them the opportunity for them to do this type of charlando, and I've always taken a back step. I get enough attention as it is, but tell me how you are and how your family are doing this COVID pandemic.
Well, I mean, I'm here in Illinois and with my family, and you know, we're happy to be together. Because it's a very crazy, scary time, and we're happy to be with each other. But so, you know, thank God everything is okay. Thank God everything is so.
How long have you been here in Illinois?
I've been in Chicago, and then where my sister lives in the suburbs. So I've been back and forth, but I've been since June 6th, so almost 3 weeks we've been here. Oh, yeah, we've been here for almost a month. We've been here, yeah.
Great, and planning to go back soon.
Planning to go back to LA soon, even with the craziness that's happening.
So
I feel like this is a safer place to be, actually, but I gotta get back to LA.
So tell me, Justina, what are your fondest memories of Chicago theater? And especially when doing your time at the Chicago Latino Theater Company under the artistic direction of a wonderful actor and director, Juan Ramirez. Tell me a little bit of your experience then.
Yeah. Well, when I think of my experience in Chicago in the theater, I only think of Latino Chicago theater. Even though I worked at the Goodman, I worked at Victory Gardens, and I love them all. I mean, I had a good time in those places and a bunch of regional theaters, but nothing was like Latino Chicago theater. And I just remember just getting a big sense of pride of who I am and where I come from. That's what Latino Chicago theater did for me, because it was a theater of really, really talented Latinx people that were young, that were from the hood, that really wouldn't have gotten a chance anywhere else, who really didn't know what to do. Everybody was either from the inner city. I mean, most of the people that were at Latino Chicago were from Humboldt Park and had gone to Clemente and all of those things. So just to see all of these incredible Latinx people come together and have just as much talent as what you would see at Steppenwolf or any of those other theaters, to be in this little theater in Bucktown, in Wicker Park, in, you know, whatever people call it now. I don't even know what they call it anymore. I used to call it Milwaukee, Damon, and Earth Avenue. Now it has like 1,000 names. So just to be able to be around that thing gave me such a sense of pride. And it kind of was the foundation for my pride as a Latina woman in this business.
And were you part of Teatro Luna at one point or no? No,
I was on already. I was already on after that. But so I heard great stuff about Teatro Luna, like fantastic stuff about them.
They are. and they're still happening. They are now a company that's out of Los Angeles, but they got their start here in Chicago under the direction of our very own Tanya Saracho.
Oh, I know who I love, who's fantastic. Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this. Once you graduated from Lake Tech, and obviously you went to school with my daughter, Iliana, you went on you moved to New York. Tell me your experience in New York and working in theater in New York and your time when you did it in the Heights. So give us a little bit of that.
Well, when I went to New York, that was in 1994. And I wasn't in New York for very long because I got a job in Los Angeles. I got a job in LA. So I wasn't in New York for very long. I was in New York for maybe 6 months, but my experience was amazing. I mean, I got there and 2 weeks later, the first day I got there, I had an audition and then I got the job. So 2 days later, I was on a plane to Boston doing some commercial. And then I came back and 2 weeks later after that, I got my first play at Circle Rep Theater. And I did that play with Bobby Cannavale, with Gary Perez, with a bunch of really incredible actors that to this day are just fantastic and are still my friends. So that was awesome. And In the Heights, I didn't do until after 6 Feet Under. So I didn't do In the Heights till 2009. So I didn't get to Broadway till 2009.
Okay.
A while.
Which I know you always wanted to do Broadway.
That's why I moved to New York. I moved to New York only to do Broadway. Of course, I wanted to do film and television, but Broadway was my big thing. But then I got a job in television, and then it just took over.
How many people know the amazing voice and dancing that you have a wonderful voice?
I know, and that's what. Thank you so much. That's why I love. That's why I went to New York, because I wanted to be like Rita Moreno, and I wanted to be like Chita Rivera. Like those are the women I wanted to be like. I wanted to be like those women. And then life took me in a different direction. But the wonderful thing is I've worked with both of those women. And now that woman is my friend and my mother on a show. So it's incredible what happens.
And so I always call you Tina, but I know.
Call me Tina. Everybody from Chicago calls
my
me
baby
Tina.
is Tina. So making that transition from theater to the screen. And you will spend many, you were in 6 Feet Under and so many other programs and also film. Mm-hmm. When you made that jump, tell me about that experience.
Well, I never thought that. I think that when I was starting, that was more of a thing. Like a theater actress, could she be a TV actress? Could a film actress be a TV actress? I think it was more separate when I was coming up. But I never saw a difference. I thought that the difference between theater and film is just more projection. You know what I mean? More just, that's what I really remember. So I never thought it would be hard or difficult to make the transition. So it wasn't even anything that I thought about. I just did it.
And if you were to compare the two of them, and I know that they're doing back in the day, ay Dios mío, tengo un bloqueo mental. A day at a time.
One day at a time.
A live audience. And you hear the applauses. How does that compare when you were doing theater and listening to the applause?
Well, the wonderful thing about it is it's kind of the same thing. And that's why sitcoms are interesting, because you have to be able to do your job, know that the audience is there to support you, know that you're in it together, but it's not necessarily to entertain them, because you still have to do your job. So it's this thing that it's in the middle. So it's very interesting to do a sitcom, and it's very gratifying at the same time, because immediate gratification, like the applause are immediate gratification. So you know how well you're doing, you can feel the audience with you. One Day at a Time goes from very comedic to very heartwarming to sometimes, very emotional, and you can feel the audience with you, and the audience, they charge you up. So that was the same. So being in theater, on the stage, and being on stage 25 at Sony, doing One Day at a Time is the same experience, really.
And that has been very satisfying for you, the One Day at a Time, because it has been an amazing journey that you've had with the program, which is a wonderful program.
Yeah.
It's about family values. It's and you're amazing in that show. What do you feel about Latinos in work in Hollywood in general and in film? The stereotype. What is your notion, and how do you see that changing, or do you see that changing?
I see it changing if you know, I just did a panel with Rita Moreno, like literally an hour ago. And she said, you know, wonderful things about me. But one of the things that she said was, Justina is like me, where you may not know her as much as you know or something because of the lack of opportunity. And can you see how nothing has changed from Rita Moreno's days to right now? Now, okay, let me take that back. I shouldn't say nothing has changed, because there are people that are changing the narrative, like Gloria Calderon Kellett, like Tanya Saracho, like Daylin Rodriguez, like all of these amazing women, and all of these amazing women of color. So I think that we have a very long way to go, and I think that it will change, but it cannot just be the artist constantly saying representation matters. It has to be the consumer also, like consuming and saying something and caring about something. I mean, we are such a huge population. We are, I don't have the numbers, but we are so big in this world, the Latino population. And yet it's like, we don't get any representation because we don't make enough noise. So it can't just be us constantly saying that. And we have to get more people in there telling the stories. We can't whitewash every story all the time. We can't do it, because what ends up happening is a lot of stereotypes. So what is wonderful about One Day at a Time is it's helping to change that narrative that's out there with us constantly, that we're the, you know, I say this all the time, the over-sexualized Latina, the you know, the maid, the gangbanger, the suffering mother, the ridiculousness, you know, or still having an accent. You know, it's like, yes, some people have accents, but I can't tell you how many times it'll say they want an accent to this day, and it blows my mind. Blows my mind. It's like, so until people, I think it's changing because we're getting more vocal. I don't think people are as scared as they used to be. I think that they realize that they have more allies. We have more allies than we thought we did. And I only see it changing with us telling our stories, us, not somebody else.
And being produced by Latino artists and production companies.
Everything. I mean, listen, it's okay if it's a big Sony, if it's a big thing, but I'm talking about having a showrunner. If you have a Latin show, a Latinx show, have a Latinx showrunner. You know what I mean? If you have this kind of show, or look at your writer's room, have some people in there that represent. So it's just, all of those things have to change up there. We're ready here. We got to get more women as executives, more women in the studios, more women of color, and more people of color in just period. That's what has to happen.
Do you see that? Because that narrative has really not changed over the years. And as I go back over the years, I kept the agency for 24 years. And I recall whenever I had a casting director asking me for a specific character, meaning the gangbanger, but at one time somebody asked if they needed a gangbanger to be Colombian, because he had to be a Colombian gangbanger. And I says, well, does it mean that he's got long ears and a tail? Because Latinos, I mean, that kind of an ignorance, I've always fought that fight as well. Yes. And so,
and by the way, they can't tell the difference, Myrna. They cannot tell the difference. So the fact that they even said that, and if it's coming from, if it was coming from us, then we can tell the difference. But I promise you, they cannot tell the difference.
I know.
Between a Colombian accent, between a Mexican, a Puerto Rican, they cannot tell the difference.
I know. And so tell me, what is your recommendation? What would you tell an upcoming Latino artist? What advice would you give the youth that's looking into this industry that is full of this amazing talent, whether they dance, whether it's spoken word, whether they are comedians, and they want to make it into the film industry or television? What advice would you give to them?
Well, there's no formula because when I started, you put a picture in an envelope and you sent it to agents and they called you whether they liked your picture or not. That doesn't happen anymore. That it's a whole different world. So I couldn't tell you how to do that. The only thing I can say, the only thing that is going to help you is to have a lot of courage, to be very brave and have a lot of courage and not listen to what anybody else says. If you believe it, believe it. I cannot tell you how many people told me not to go to LA, how many people told me not to go to New York, how many people try to talk me out of living my dream because of their shortcomings, or they didn't see it because they never saw a little Puerto Rican girl like me, you know, be able to do something. The last time they saw that, when I was coming up, Rosie Perez was doing very well, and J-Lo was just coming on the scene. But they just, especially in Chicago, people had a hard time believing somebody could do this in Chicago. And I don't know if
I never doubted.
But the rest of the people is like, what? Because Chicago's not that kind of town. Chicago's like, you know, a blue collar. I'm from a working class family. So it was all of those things. But I would just say be very brave, but you also have to invest. You cannot just go, oh, I'm really good, I'm going to go out there. You're an idiot. Like, you have to like do something, take a class, get yourself involved in theater, do something, find your community so that you can better yourself and have a lot of courage.
I recalled going with my daughter when I visited her in LA to see some of your auditions, or not auditions, where you would be performing for the producer circle. Years ago, and it was like at 7:30 in the morning, and it was packed. The auditorium was packed.
This
and
is in LA?
Yeah, it was in LA. I remember one of the leading actors sitting next to me, and I just looked over, and I don't know what he was doing there. Kevin Spacey. I still recall that, and he was sitting practically next to me.
Oh, you came to see
a reading.
No, you came to see one act that I did with Giovanni Ribisi.
Yes.
In my teacher's class.
Several years ago. That was several years ago.
That was 20 years. That was 20 years ago. 20 years ago.
Where time goes.
About it.
We can spend the whole afternoon talking about our experiences, and especially your experience. And want to thank you for everything you do. The way you upkeep the image of Latina women, powerful and fearless. I always love that about you. You've never let anything tarnish your spirit, because you bring to the table amazing talent. And I want you to know that the Chicago theater community would enjoy this conversation. We're very proud to have you join us in Charlando. And so I am excited about this particular first time Charlando that I'm hosting.
Well, I want to say one thing before we go. I want to say that if it weren't for you calling me one day when I was at the bank, I was working at First American Bank, y'all. First American Bank on Adams and Wabash. And because her daughter and I happened to be best friends, she called me and said the Latino Chicago Theater was looking for somebody that was my age. She knew that I wasn't an actress, but I had great stage presence and I was a dancer. And then I went, and then the rest is history. So yes, I was brave, but Myrna called me and introduced this whole world to me. So I say thank you always. I love you, Myrna Salazar.
And I love you twofold.
Yes.
Gracias for this.
Gracias. Bye, ladies. Bye.
Stay safe and joyful and hopeful.
I will. I'll see you the next time I'm in Chicago.
By all means. Take care.
Bye, Mama. Bye. Love you. Bye.